on the ground, whether it's 18 degrees outside or not.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like everything in my flesh did not want to be out here last night. Right? It was brutally cold.
Yeah.
But man, these other guys don't get to choose it.
Mm-hmm.
So what would I be saying if I was like, no, it was too cold?
So one of my questions I was actually going to ask, it kind of goes along with that, is like, you know, what kind of like responsibility do you think, reaching homeless people and kind of like more of the social mercy, I guess, ministries, do you think you more need kind of a calling or gifting to that, or do you think every local church has some kind of responsibility in that?
Okay, so in order to answer your question, I have to answer another question.
Okay.
So, why are people homeless? Okay, so here's my answer, and I probably told this to you in a parking garage. So,
the one thing I remember from the parking garage was just that we don't give handouts; we give hand-ups.
Oh, yeah,
that
okay,
was what
you remember
stuck.
that one,
and
okay.
you keep saying that, so
I
that
still say it. Okay, so Reverend Tim Keller wrote this book called Ministries of Mercy, and he says in it that these big societal issues, poverty, homelessness, brokenness, that half the political landscape says that they are because of poor human choice. The other half of the political landscape says that they are because of broken systems. Okay, Reverend Keller says, and I agree with him, that the answer is yes. It's both, right? Like you can't separate those two ideas. So now let me answer your question. Prior to the Great Depression, the church handled all social services in the world. There was no government assisted social services.
Yeah.
It was because of the church. I mean, it was because of the call that the church did what it did. And many years ago, I won't bore you with the long story, but I found myself in a journey through Scripture, trying to really figure out like what is the biblical call to this ministry behind us.
Yeah.
And here's what I came up with: you can't avoid it. It is from tip to stern God's heart to defend the defenseless, care for the poor, care for the orphan, care for the widow, bring hope to the lost. Like it is peppered all through Scripture. So I don't think that this is a ministry that a church should consider. I think that this is a requirement.
And that was kind of my question. Like, what's the big R like responsibility? Because I think sometimes, like I was talking to my coworker about this morning, and I was just asking his opinion about it. And some will give, and this is no hate on anyone, but some will give the response of like, you really have to have a calling to this or like a gifting for this because it takes so much commitment, and it's not just a, I feel inspired today, after watching this 24-hour live.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go like serve the homeless every day, and that lasts for like a week, if at best.
Right.
And then it kind of all goes south from there. So what would you kind of give in response to that's why you have to have a calling or like a gifting, I guess, in that?
Yeah, so the punchline is that Miracle Hill shouldn't exist, right? Like we shouldn't have been created because the church should have done its job. That being said, in 2025, like we are the hands and feet of the church, right? So we do what the church is called to do on behalf of the church. So I think that churches, little c churches need to pray and seek and determine how the Lord is calling them to be a part of that. And it could be for some churches as simple as prayer. Pray for the lost. Pray for people who need hope. Other churches, he may be calling to a deeper level of commitment, whether it's volunteering or financial contribution. So I think your coworker's right that we need to apply our God-given gifts where the Lord tells us to. But I don't think you can avoid this as a an entity that you call yourself a church.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And let me say one more thing.
Absolutely.
Before I say it, I'm going to say that I am completely biased, and I recognize that.